a bit of news. I'm sure everyone has seen it already, but I wanted to talk about it anyway, because it's really cool, in case someone somehow missed it. The More Than We Ever Imagined release is on the way. There's going to be a watch party. They're going to be streaming it on demand. It's going to be available on demand afterwards for those who buy the ticket. I don't know if there's a deadline for the ticket. I assume you have to buy it before the watch party happens. That would be my guess. I would hedge my bets on that. We've been talking about this and hoping for and wishing for this for a while, so it's really cool to see this. There's obviously some merchandise as well, which I didn't actually pull up, but there's a Spotify album, the live album, the Clancy live album is coming out. We've got 2 different vinyl variants and then an ACD as well. So no Blu-ray, unfortunately. That was kind of disappointing. I was looking forward to having a Blu-ray, even though I knew it was pretty unlikely that we would be getting one, just because they hadn't officially said so. They were just teasing that it was a potential possibility. I think my biggest question with this is this the Clancy live album that we were all thinking of? Because I'm pretty sure the live show where it was leaked it wasn't a big secret, but where everyone was talking about how there had been a text on the screen that said, "We're recording tonight." I'm pretty sure that wasn't the Mexico City show. That was the Columbus show or something. It was some other random live show that they recorded, and everyone thought the Clancy live album was going to be focused around that. It's not like this doesn't make sense, given that they put the film out, it was an IMAX release, they did a lot of marketing for it already, that they would then use that as the basis for the live album that they created. We got the live album we were all looking for, I think is what I'm trying to say, but it wasn't quite exactly what we were looking for, or what we thought we were looking for, if that makes sense. Because I thought they would do some kind of release for the IMAX film. For some reason, it didn't click in my head that would then end up being what they released as the album as well. And yes, as someone pointed out, it will be on Spotify as well. Christopher the K said that. So yeah, so that's on the way. This merch is fun. This hat, I don't really get the design on that hat. Not a big fan. I've said this a million times. I don't really go in for wearable merch, clothing merch, that kind of stuff. I'm happy with the physical media. I think it looks cool. This one's a little boring, but this is really cool, and this is cool. So I have no complaints there. Again, would love a Blu-ray, but I wasn't realistically expecting that. And this should be fun. Q&A with the boys. It's always fun. Always a good time. Getting flashbacks to the Scaled and Icy live stream in 2021. That was a great time, great memory. This one, it seems like you'll be able to watch after the fact as well, which wasn't so much the case with that one. There's also a chance that after this happens, they will release some kind of Blu-ray or DVD. Again, I think it's very, very unlikely, but it's not impossible that they're waiting for this to happen first. Shame the album is cutting some songs, but at least we're getting a live album at all. Yeah, that's the other thing. Thank you for that reminder. See, I had this problem with the original film, and I get that this set list is pretty much just replicating what we got in the IMAX release, right, the IMAX movie. But it would have been really cool if they had brought back the ones that they had to cut for the sake of the IMAX runtime. I suspect they wanted to have 21 tracks on it. I'm sure there were also limitations to putting it all on one vinyl, or 2 vinyl. It's already on 2 vinyl, so I'm sure there are limitations there in that they didn't want to add a third and go slightly over and have to add a third. I get that, but it would have been really cool to at least have Vignette come back, because that transition, this was the weakest part of the IMAX film, right? Was the holding on to you into car radio transition, because at the end, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with this in the live album, but at the end in the movie, they played the start of Vignette, because it transitions right from holding on to you into Vignette. So they played the beginning, the first couple of drum kicks or whatever that introduce you to Vignette, and then instantly cut it off and it went to car radio. And that was very abrupt and not a great transition. That, and I think there was one other transition somewhere that was a little rough because of something else they'd cut, but this was the most noticeable one for me. So that's disappointing that they didn't keep Vignette, bring back Vignette, but I also kind of understand. Didn't I see a track list for this somewhere that had Vignette? I don't think so, unless this one has Vignette. No. What is the difference with this one? Is this the photo prints and the poster? Yeah, it's just like the deluxe version. Man, at least they're keeping it cheap, right? Today I learned how to pronounce Vignette. Vignette will be on the Spotify release. Really? Hang on, let me pull that up. How do you know that? Last I saw on the Spotify release, they hadn't revealed a track list on the pre-save. Oh, it is up now. Well, that's even worse. Respectfully, that's what? Like, look, I'm glad we'll have it on Spotify. That's great. Fine, but why is physical media always missing out, right? Why don't we get a Drag Path vinyl release? Why don't we Drag Path on the vinyl of Breach? Respectfully, as much as I love the band, they do handle things like this pretty poorly. The Drag Path release comes to mind. The whole Drag Path, the Digital Remains thing. It's a different conversation. I feel like I've given my thoughts on it already. That didn't really affect me that much. It didn't bother me that much, I should say. The fact that we didn't get like a physical release of the digital remains, I know that doesn't make sense when you say it out loud because it's the digital remains. You wouldn't have a vinyl of that. But the fact that Dragpath Dragpath, which is one of their best songs, does not exist in a physical way. You can't buy an expanded CD that has it added on. And as someone who has pretty strong opinions, I should say, goes beyond feelings about the importance of physical media and actually owning things and not just having it all exist in a cloud online streaming, even just as an MP3. At least they did give us an MP3 of Dragpath or a wave, whatever it was when you bought the digital remains, but still, it's a shame to not have that on physical. Vignette live from More Than We Ever Imagined, I don't care about as much, but it's still tough to say it's only going to be on Spotify because I much prefer when physical media is rewarded over streaming. You get a little something extra, a little bonus in the physical media as opposed to streaming. So what was the other song that was missing from this? Is Vignette the only one that was added back? Because I feel like I heard something about My Blood not being included either, but I'm not seeing that here. Unless I'm missing something. I do have to say, though, having Paladin Straight live, this version of Paladin Straight with Bandito and everything in it, having that on CD or vinyl is incredible. It is one of the best things they've ever created, that live version of Paladin Straight with Bandito. That is otherworldly. It's beautiful. They cut the Judge, the Craving, My Blood from all versions. So I do really wonder, we'll have to see when the vinyls come and, like how many songs are on each side, but I do wonder if it really was a time constraint for putting Vignette back on these, because it makes sense they would bring it back to Spotify because this transition is rough. The others, I didn't notice the transitions as much. Other people probably did who knew the set list better, but the Vignette transition stood out. Digitally, there really is no excuse for not having the cut songs. Yeah, that's fair. There's no limit. I think they'll eventually make a vinyl or a CD of Dragpath, even from a business standpoint. It's a smart move. Yeah, I mean, that's my thinking. It's like, people accuse 21 Pilots of being a little money grabbing because of doing things like the Dragpath digital remains release and all the vinyl variants and all of that. Again, that's another conversation. I'm inclined to give them benefit of the doubt, but I also kind of understand that perspective, even if I disagree with it and wouldn't go so far as to say that they're money grubbers, right? I haven't really gotten that impression from them. But at the same time, if they are money grubbers, it would make sense to make a bunch of other variants that include Dragpath because people would buy them. Make a single release of Dragpath and then make another CD that has Dragpath as a bonus track on it and all that other stuff. So the Craving goes into Tear in My Heart Live, and that was awkward on the movie as well. Okay, fair. Having the Heathens Next Semester transition, yep, that one, and navigating Nico and the Niners and Heavy Dirty Soul, that is incredible as well. I'm glad we got Vignette at all, though. That's true. Is there going to be a digital release? I know there's going to be streaming, the Spotify release, but is there going to be a digital download release like there was for the live album? I was wondering why Navigating, Nico and the Niners, Heavy Dirty Soul weren't all one track, because all three songs transition into each other. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of wondering about that too. It's a little gimmicky, but I do think they really wanted to have the 21 tracks. Separating these out enabled that to happen. Is there a specific time the watch party and Q&A is streaming? Yes, there is. It is 3 p.m. Eastern time. More Than We Ever Imagined Blu-ray with the live stream experience as a special feature. That would be incredible. I really hope that this version here, this on-demand streaming version of the film, will keep the IMAX aspect ratio and not just crop everything down to letterboxd. I really want to know how they filmed it since IMAX only films for 3 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they just kept pausing the concert, to be honest, and everyone had to stay in place, just hold their positions. Some parts were IMAX and some parts weren't. Yeah, so I think the whole IMAX conversation is crazy. I find it fascinating. It's a little above my head. But from my understanding, there are IMAX cameras that are, the 70 millimeter 15 perf film stock. And then there are digital cameras that are approved for IMAX, where you film in the 16:9 or the 1.90 to 1 aspect ratio, so it can be released in an IMAX theater, but it isn't on film. Most films that are IMAX released and have IMAX scenes are just filmed for IMAX and not filmed on IMAX. Anyway, that's a whole other story, but yeah, anyway, I don't know. I didn't have many more thoughts on this. I'm excited. I'm overall excited. I know I've just spewed out a bunch of criticisms. I am overall very, very excited. Very happy that we're getting this. I've already put my orders in for all of these variants, none of the clothing, of course, secured a ticket for the watch party as well. So that should be a lot of fun. Fingers still crossed that we will get a Blu-ray one day for this. Maybe it will have Vignette on it.